holy name, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And number 10 is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank you all for joining the Bhakti Sangha Early Morning Japa Conference call today. We will move to the next session, which is our Srimad Bhagavatam class. But prior to that, may I know who all have joined the call today, please?
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna and happy Ekadasi to everybody.
Yes, Mataji. Hari Bol, happy Ekadashi to all the devotees, assembled devotees here. Hari Bol, Mataji. Once again, I welcome you to the early morning Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Maharajas. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji, my Dandavat Pranam at your lotus feet, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Welcome.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania, and happy Ekadashi, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Tiffany Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for regularly joining the call, Mataji, and thank you for your services, and happy Ekadashi. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, and all glories to assembled devotees. This is Radha from Baltimore.
Hari Bol, Radha Mataji, my Dandavat Pranam to you too, Mata. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you very much for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Keep joining.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, all glories Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh.
Hari Bol, Krishna Kumari Mataji, my Dandavat Pranam to you too, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for regularly joining the early morning Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you for your association, Mataji. Hari Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees on the call. This is Anita from Sharjah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. Thank you so much for regularly joining this conference call and the lecture session, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Welcome once again, Mata.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotee. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Vivek from Hyderabad. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Vivek Prabhuji, Jai Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all our Guru Maharajas. Thank you very much for joining the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Prabhuji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada Sir Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all our Guru Maharajas. Thank you so much for joining the call, Mataji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Pranam to you and all the assembled devotees. Guru Maharaj ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. This is Shivani from Ashton, Virginia. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Radharani Devidasi from Baltimore. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radharani Mataji. It's always wonderful to hear your voice, Mataji. Thank you for consistently joining the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call for Japa and the Zoom class session, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for joining, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karnadevidasi from Lincoln.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Mataji. Thank you very much for all your consistent services. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Once again, welcome to the call, Mataji. Is there anybody else who would like to announce their call?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj and the assembled devotees. This is Shiromani Nandarani Devidasi from Krishna Katadesh. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Haribol, Shironanda Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. It's wonderful to hear your name. Often I hear it. Thank you for consistently joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Maharaj,
Yes.
Shall we start introduction?
Yes, let's do that. We will move to the next session. So once again, I would like to announce that His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj will be giving the class today from Canto 5, Chapter 11, verse number 14. But prior to that, Tiffany Mataji will go ahead and give a brief introduction about Maharaj. Mataji, whenever you're ready. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nila Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to the Prabhupada. His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj is a disciple of ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is also an initiating spiritual master within the ISKCON movement. Maharaj was born in New Jersey in 1947 and came into contact with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in Denver, Colorado at the age of 24. In 1973, he began practicing Krishna consciousness in New York City and shortly thereafter began serving at the New Vrindavan Farm Community in West Virginia. That same year, he received initiation from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In 1986, His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj accepted the sannyas order and began preaching in Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio. In 1995, he began serving as a resident sannyasi in Chicago, where he was based until 2013, when he relocated to Karlovac, Croatia. At present, Maharaj offers spiritual guidance around Europe, the USA, and in India. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to the early morning Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you so much for your association, Maharaj. So we are at Canto 5, Chapter 11, verse 14, whenever you're ready. Haribol.
I just received a message from Shamagori. It's verse 15.
Yes, Maharaj, because 13 and 14 are together.
Yeah, 15, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, okay. Prabhu. Maharaj, sorry about that. It's important.
Omagyan timidandasya yananjana salakaya chaksu unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pastyatya Dvasatarane Panchakalpa Tarubhisja Kripa Sindhu Eva Japatitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is 5.11.15. This is centered around Bharat. Okay, Nayan Vadetam Pravidam Narendra Viduyamayam Vardodayena Vimukta Sango Chitasat Sapatno Vedatmatatvam Brahmatita Tadvat. My dear King Rahugana, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from the contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he does not conquer his 6 enemies and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. Srila Prabhupada's purport. When one's mind is absorbed in material conception, he thinks he belongs to a particular nation, family, country, or creed. These are called upadis, designations, and one has to become free from them. Sarvapadi vinir muktam. As long as one is not freed, he has to continue conditional life in material existence. The human form of life is meant for cleansing away these misconceptions. If this is not done, one has to repeat the cycle of birth and death and thus suffer all material conditions. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the living entity, or the pure spirit soul, is not meant to take birth in this material world. We belong to another atmosphere. We belong in the spiritual world, and that is our actual home. That's why you often find we say back home, back to Godhead, back to that place which is our original dwelling place, or actually our only dwelling place. This material adventure is a sojourn due to our desires to experience something outside of our spiritual realm. It comes by way of envy, it comes by way of just by curiosity, thinking there's something in this material world that I can experience, I can enjoy. So the Shastras are trying to teach us that this material world is not our home, and our material relationships are all based on a false premise, that is the body. We have a body, but we are not the body. We have a car, we use the car, but we are simply the driver or the owner of the car. Same way we are the energy force that gives life to the body. And the body has a purpose, but we are not the body, it's an instrument. And so the body means different designations. The list is quite lengthy. The initial designation is that I belong to a particular gender. So I'm seen as a male or a female. Comes pretty easy, either one of the two. And then I belong to a particular country. and I belong to a particular the country has a certain nationality, a certain culture. I adopt that simply by my association with that country. And then I develop relationships with family, father, mother, sisters, brothers, cousins, relatives, and people in general, neighbors, friends, people that we work for, people who work for us. So we get all of these, what is called designations. The word here is upadi. So the verse says that one should be sarvopadi, vinir muktam, tatvarasam kevalam, rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakta uchate, bhakti uttamam. So we are living in a false reality. But because we don't know the real reality, we accept the false reality as real. And therefore, we put a lot of time, emphasis, and energy in developing this reality, which is just an illusion, because it's based on something that is ephemeral and temporary. Material existence is one of the energies of the Lord. It's an energy that constricts the living entity's ability to exist. We are locked up in a material body, and then we are locked up in the material world. And then we are locked up by the designations which are connected to that material body and world. And these are the chains that keep us locked up. We develop attachments for whatever we are, whatever we do, and whoever we relate to in society, either immediate or extended relationships. But all these things are temporary, and we have to play the game. It's a game. The game is that somehow or other one has to go through all of this to somehow get rid of it. Now, the living entity has a natural tendency to develop an attachment for something that it sees that it's related to, or something that will give them pleasure. And that is our bondage in the material world. So this purport is very strong. The teachings of King Rahugana go right to the point. They don't mince or patronize anyone's material feelings. They tell you just like it is. That this material world is simply a place that we have to learn our lesson. And then once we learn our lesson, we get out of the material world and return to a spiritual world where life has all of the things that the material world has, but in perfection and without cessation, including unlimited knowledge and continuous happiness. That is you might say that is our destination. But as long as the material world is, as it says here, as long as one's mind is absorbed in material conceptions, then one thinks mistakenly they belong to a particular family, country, creed, or nation. Now, sometimes when you hear that, a person becomes a little bit concerned. Well, I have my family, I have my friends, I have my activities. Now I'm supposed to hate them. I'm supposed to somehow or other develop some kind of distaste for their association. No, the idea is to Krishnaize everything, because this material energy is also the foundation for elevation to the spiritual energy. So connecting the material with the devotional process transforms that spiritual energy transforms that material energy into the spiritual energy. That's why Prabhupada would say that Krishna cannot produce anything material. Everything he produces spiritual, but the energies work in different ways. The material energy is eternal, but the forms are temporary. Try to understand that point. The basic principles that make up the material world, Bhumir apanalo bayu kamana buddhi evacha hankar iti ame, vina prakriti astada, earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and the sense of self based on the body, known as ahankara, they are all the basic principles or the basic elements of material existence. They reformulate themselves in different combinations to make up the forms of this world. So whatever you see in this world is a combination of these 8 elements. There's nothing more. And the external energy, or the gross form of it, is based on these 5: earth, water, fire, air, and sky in some cases. So these basic elements are not destroyable. They're transformable, but they're not destroyable. Just like if you put a pot of water in a place, and you leave it there uncovered for a long time, say for a month or so, you'll find that the water will be gone. Nothing will happen to the water, but it'll automatically evaporate and it'll turn into a gaseous state. If you want to speed that same process up, you put it on the fire and then you boil it, and then it gradually reduces. Then it quickly reduces. That's an example of how material elements are transformable in combination with other material elements. We see the brick of a house, but we understand what is it made out of. We call it a brick, but actually all it is earth, water together, and then put together and then put into an oven where there is fire, and then you have a brick, three particular elements. So this material energy is Krishna's energy, and it's also Daivi. But we see it in relationship to the body, and therefore it acts in a different way. When we use it for Krishna's service, then we transform our consciousness at the same time to spiritual, and that element, which is in essence spiritual, regains its spiritual nature again, like that. So this is a little understanding of how everything ultimately is spiritual, but our consciousness is wrong, and that's the problem. We develop the wrong kind of consciousness. And what is that consciousness? Janasamoham yamahamameti. This is I, and this is mine. Now that is the problem. That is called moha. Moha means illusion. What is that? These 2 categories of existence, I am, and then you put another word after it. I am a man, I'm a woman, I'm old, I'm learned, I'm a member of this group. I am, and you can find many names or categories of designations that follow that particular case. I am. But then the other category is mine. Mine, this is my house, this is my husband, this is my wife, these are my children, this is my car, this is my money, this is my property, the whole idea of mine. So these are the 2 basic locking forces that are mentioned here. These are called the upadis, the designations. They fall into 2 categories, I and mine. As long as one is not freed from these conceptions, we have to replace the I principle with who we really are, I am eternal servant of Krishna. That is my identity. Jiva Sarupai Krishna Nityadas. So the I principle doesn't go away. It becomes realized in relationship to its essence, and that is we are eternal servants of Krishna. We are by nature of the same nature of Krishna. Krishna is pure spiritual. We are also pure spiritual. Then the mind principle. What is mine? Well, everything in this material world doesn't belong to me, because when I come, it's there, or somehow I work and bring it about. And I think because I worked for it, it's mine. But then after some time, either I go or it goes. So we can't keep anything in this world. No, nothing is eternal. Nothing is lasting in this world. So these are the two principles that are being mentioned here. These are the upadhis or designations like that. And Prabhupada gets right to the point. Unless one gets rid of these misconceptions by replacing it with the proper understanding, then one has to continue in the cycle of birth and death. Mitche maya davase, kacho beshe, kacho hu, bubu vai, Jeev Krishna Das, Vishwash, Kolida Adukanai. That the living entity in Kardanam Guna Sangha show Sarasat Joli Janmisyu. We go from one particular material situation to another based on our activities and our desires. As they accumulate life after life, we traverse the universes. Sometimes we take birth as demigods and higher planets. Sometimes we take birth on the human form of life in this material realm. Or sometimes we can even go down to the lower realms, lower species of life. So depending on our karmic credits, we get a particular body, and these karmic credits are not changeable. They are fixed. So whatever activities and devotion, whatever activities we perform, we are pushing the material energy in a certain direction. And based on that push, we get a reciprocation according to one or more of the three modes of material nature. So when we stop wasting time trying to improve our material existence, and we simply accept whatever material existence we are in and use it for the service of the Lord, then we can purify both ourselves and material existence. Otherwise, we have to continue life after life and finally learn the lesson one time. So sometimes a devotee will think, well, maybe I'll get a better birth in my next life. This birth is not so good. I'm not so intelligent. I don't really have a good body for, in devotional service. Maybe I need a better situation. But that can never be guaranteed. Srila Prabhupada would say, you're in the best situation right now. Make the best use of it and go back home, back to Godhead. Don't try to improve your material situation by getting another life and thinking it'll be easier to become Krishna conscious there. Not necessarily, that's not guaranteed. And one is actually gambling because one doesn't know what body they'll get and where that body will be placed. That's not under our control, simply under the controls of the material energy. Okay. 1 minute, I'm getting a lot of background noise here, so I'm going to just do something and I'll be right back. So we should read the scriptures to teach us who we are, what is our relationship with Krishna, and how to develop that relationship, and then act accordingly. There's no limitation. Anyone can be Krishna consciousness from any perspective. Kirata hunam palinda pukasat, sambira abaya, kesharia. What is it? What is that verse? Palinda pukasat, ambira samba, kashyare, vashadaya. Yene jay paspayasraya, vishvante Vishnu Prabhavave Namaha. I didn't exactly quote the verse correctly, but that verse is from the second canto, 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, even people who are born in a very obscure and lower race can somehow or other, if they go, if you want to find that verse, the ninth chapter, 9th chapter, and go down to at least verse number 22, I think it is. Let's see. Let's see. Keep going. Is there more verses? Second canto, 9th chapter.
Mataji has said it's 4th chapter, 18th verse.
Okay, 4th chapter. 4th chapter of the second canto. Okay, go to the second canto, 4th chapter. Yeah, Kirata Hunandra, Palinda Pukasa, Ambira Sumba, Yavana Kasyadaya, Yene Chapapa Upasrayasraya, Shidanti Prabhavishnave Namaha. And then it mentions the translation, Kirata Hunam Andra Palinda Pukasa Ambira Sumbayava. Remember, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. But this verse is quoted to say even these lower races, these are races that are below the Varnashram system. Even they can attain to perfection if they engage in service to the devotees of the Lord. So the point is made that no one is disqualified to go back home, back to Godhead. Devotees will sometimes make a material estimation of their situation and say, well, I'm not so qualified. I'm surrounded by so many material responsibilities. But then we have the examples of so many great souls who were absorbed and immersed in materialistic life, and then they somehow or other freed themselves from that, took to serious devotional service, and then went back home, back to Godhead. So there's no restriction. The soul's nature, and that means every soul's nature is to love and serve Krishna, and our home's in the spiritual world. So how long do we want to stay in this material world? That's up to us. We think it's too hard to get out of the material world. I'm too attached to my friends and family members. I have so many plans to become happy here. Then life after life, we have to continue taking birth until we finally come to the point of realizing that we have nothing to do with this material world. You know, when we take birth and we come into everyone say, "Oh, life is so nice," and they give you so many formulas for being happy in the material world. If you just do this, if you just go here, if you just have this, if you can just achieve this, then you will be happy. But these are all the voices of the illusion, keeping us more and more confused and connected to this ever-changing and always miserable material energy. So we want to get out. Krishna is lovable. He's the most lovable person. There's no one that can compare to Krishna. So the incentive for going back home, back to Godhead, is getting absorbed in Krishna. Krishna is the most beautiful, he's the most powerful, he's the most famous, he's the most wealthy, he's the most strong, he's the most renounced, and he's surrounded by so many wonderful, wonderful associates who serve him in different ways. And Prabhupada said, go back to the spiritual world. There are beautiful men there, there are beautiful women there, not like this material world. And everything is there in perfection. So, and this material world is risky. Even if you are, just like we have the example of King Nirga, which is in the Bhagavatam. Yeah, he was very pious, very religious, always giving in charity, had a lot of wealth. But somehow he performed his pious activities in the wrong way. And he made a mistake. And he offended someone because of that mistake. And it cost him to have to take birth as a lizard in order to pay for that mistake. So material energy is like that. Material energy is very mercilessness. It doesn't give you any mercy at all. You play with the material energy, you get what you play with. But Krishna is very merciful, and he can pull the material energy away from us and bring us into the spiritual energy. So the whole idea is get attached to Krishna. Make your attachment for Krishna. Become Krishna addicted, Krishna absorbed. Make your life centered around Krishna. And Krishna is there. He's not far away from us. He's as close as we want him to be. If we want him to be far away, then that's the way we'll experience him. But if we want him to be close, he'll come close. We have to make that effort to bring him closer. And that is devotional service. And that starts with Srinvata Swakata Krishna Purnya Shravana Kirtanaha Ridyantosto Abadani Vidunoti Suhit Satam. Through the process of hearing about Krishna, the heart becomes cleansed and one mind becomes attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so we'll stop there and see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for such a wonderful class. Yeah, while you were talking, I was also wondering, how is it that we are constantly told that this is the place for us, and everywhere our education system itself is geared towards being successful in this material world, learning about the material element, learning about this material world. We are never taught spiritual education. So it's like all our life, that is what that's the condition. And even the people around us, none of them, all of them feel like this is the place for where we belong. We have to enjoy, we have to see more things. So it feels like it's just a very small group of us who are thinking different. That's all.
Yeah, this is the material world. Sometimes it's called a fool's paradise. That's another term for the material world. A paradise where everyone is foolish. There's no paradise, but everyone is trying to make it better. You can't make this material world better. You can't change it because we are not the controllers. We are controlled by the material energy. It's like a person wants to do something, and as soon as they connect with that activity, they get controlled by the activity. So the desire pushes us to want something or to be something or to gain something. And then simply by that desire, we're forced into a certain way of thinking and acting. And then we are trapped by that desire and the activities that come with it. Yeah. So if we stop desiring material activities and start putting our energy and emphasis on devotional activities, then we push back the effects of the material energy and we awaken the spiritual energy, and that brings us closer and closer to Krishna. It's a process. You have to understand, getting out of the material energy is not so easy because we are conditioned. We are called nitya bada. We have been in the material energy for so many lifetimes. Sometimes it says koti, millions of lifetimes. So, that conditioning is there. So it's not so easy to even recognize that who we are different from the material body, what to speak of engaging in those activities. Yeah, so we're trapped. And that's why hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord in the association of devotees. Turn to Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 25th verse. Here's where devotional service really begins on this 3:25:25. Satam prasangam mamavirya samvido bhavanti ridkarna rasayana kata tajjosanad asva pavarga vartmani srada ratir batir anukramishyati. Translate. In the association of pure devotees, discussions of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and heart. And here we go. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and therefore he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. Prabhupada's first statement, the process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. The first point is association in persons who are Krishna conscious. And then the activities that come in that association, hearing about the glories of the Lord and chanting the glories of the Lord. These are the activities of the great souls. Great souls, everyone's a great soul. It just means that one has to perform the activities of a great soul, and then one will be recognized as a great soul. Carefully study this purport, and then you'll find some inclinations or indications also of how to proceed in devotional service.
Thank you so much for your wonderful answer, Maharaj. I have a quick question. I sometimes wonder, like, there are multiple universes, right? So there are multiverses. Are there also multiple of us, of one identities? Are there multiples of that? What are
I'm not sure I understand your question. Can you repeat it?
Yes, Maharaj. I mean, probably it's the conditioning from the education that we pick up and we see the other things. So I wonder what Krishna consciousness has to say about. You were talking about identity today. So hence the question came into my mind. Is the soul, the individual soul, spark by itself, just that, or is there multiple of us as well?
Well, there are many souls, and each soul is an individual soul. Just like on the same level, there are many living beings, many humans, and each human being is different from the other human being. So the souls are all spiritual. They each have their individual identities, but they're all connected to Krishna. So we are one, but we are different from any other individual soul.
Right. Haribol Maharaj, thank you.
Yeah, just like there's so many humans, but each human being is different. So many souls, but each soul is different. But our natures are the same.
That's right.
Our nature is to serve Krishna and develop love for Krishna. That's our spiritual nature. Our material nature is try to enjoy the senses.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you. Devotees, do we have any further questions? You may ask, you may unmute, you may raise your hand. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for a wonderful class. I just love the way that you explained things. I really appreciated the way that you said our material relationships are based on our bodily conception of life. It really reframed things for me, and I really appreciate that. And also, I was thinking when you mentioned that that devotees shouldn't wait for a better situation in the next lifetime, to advance in our Krishna consciousness. And I was even thinking about, in the current lifetime, sometimes I can't speak for others, but sometimes I, kind of say, oh, well, if I had this way, I could, practice a little better, or, things like that. So thank you for that statement as well. And I just have one question in regard to, when you were speaking at the beginning of class about the gunas. And this kind of came to my mind. Do we have to reach the mode of sattva in order to go back to Godhead, or can we go from rajas?
No, Krishna also says that he tells Arjuna, be situated in the mode of goodness. Mm-hmm. Mode of goodness is the foundation where you can perform devotional service.
Okay.
Rajas is about personal material gain, whether it's lofty or ordinary. It's still about me. Goodness has the qualities that can be used in the service of the Lord. Mm-hmm. There's only one quality that has any value in rajas, and that is the quality of creativity. Mm-hmm. But all the other qualities are all self-centered and selfish and motivated by personal gain. Mm-hmm. And of course, ignorance is completely off because it's all about, wrong activities that are detrimental to oneself, even materially, and of course, others also. So, but mode of goodness is a stepping stone. It's not the goal.
And so do we have to, so my next question is, how do we have to be purely sattvic to, how does that work?
Just engage in devotional service accordingly, and then understand how to serve in a way that is beneficial for the object you're serving. So some of the qualities that allow service to be accepted is that humility and a desire to please the object of who you're serving, and absorption in the activity. These are all part of some of the qualities that make up that service which is acceptable. We can do service from any of the three modes, but they're not acceptable.
Okay.
So you have to, cultivate. Tolerance allows us to continue. Determination also allows us to continue when things go difficult. When we experience happiness or distress, if we're not affected by that, then that allows us to continue nicely in our devotional service. The mode of passion is we do something to get some kind of result, and according to the result we get, we are happy or unhappy. The devotional service is not about trying to get a particular result. It's about trying to please Krishna. And if we're trying to please Krishna, or we're trying to please Krishna's devotees, which means to give them Krishna consciousness, that is the motivation behind it. And the results will come accordingly, not by our own efforts, not only by our own efforts. They'll come by Krishna's sanction.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we have to practice. Read the qualities of the modes of goodness. It's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter. And read the qualities of, it's also mentioned in the 7th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in the first 3 verses in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, these are also qualities in the modes of goodness also. And then, of course, chapter 13, verses 8 through 12, 20 items of knowledge. So the scriptures are full of activities and qualities, characteristics that are conducive and essential, many of them. Some are conducive and many of them are essential in order to execute devotional service. You practice those things. It's a matter of practice.
I'm trying. Yes.
Yeah, if you're trying, that is practically success. Because devotional service requires mercy, and mercy comes by way of your efforts. If you keep trying your best and you try to keep developing those moods that are conducive to service, then you'll receive the mercy you need. But if you go independent of that, then you curtail that mercy. You still get some, but you can't recognize so we have to learn the science of how to execute devotional service. That comes from the spiritual master. That comes from descriptions, studying the life of the great souls, reading the Bhagavatam. We have the lives of so many great souls. How did they act? What did they do? What was their mentality when they were serving? We learn from their example. These books are meant to teach us, and not just simply nice decorations on the wall so we can say, well, I have Prabhupada's books, and each of the different volumes have a different color, and it makes my room look very nice. It's about reading them and understanding.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you for your answer. It was very inspiring. I appreciate it so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
There was a devotee, Sai Vivek, raising his hand. Would you like to pose your question to Maharaj?
Krishna, thank you very much. We have darshan of Krishna and Radha. Like first, our view goes towards Krishna's face. We tend to Krishna's greatness. We have to also look towards his sweetness. Is it the other way? For understanding Krishna's sweetness, we have to focus on the greatness of him being in serving eternity. Can we get that?
I think he should present the. He should present the question in the chat because there's too much static. I can't hear any of his words.
Is it audible now, Maharaj?
Now it is. Yeah. Try again.
Yeah. Actually, before having whenever we have darshan, we first focus on the face of Krishna before understanding the.
No. You start with the feet.
Okay. Yes.
You start with your feet, and then you bring your glance up to the lotus face of the Lord, and then down again to the feet, and then you pay your obeisances. You don't start with the face; you start with the feet. That is the proper way to approach the Lord.
But our mind always tends in focusing on the sweetness of Krishna.
You'll get there, but you have to start with the feet.
Yeah, we very much tend to forget the greatness of Krishna. Our mind is accustomed in getting.
You can't simply go to the lotus face of the Lord. You have to approach him because each of the parts of the transcendental body of the Lord has a connection to our mood of devotional service. So the lotus feet of the Lord means humility. You can't approach the Lord without humility. So first we look at the lotus feet of the Lord.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's darshan.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay. I think we have Mother Sri Devi online.
Yes. Mataji, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, my dear Nina. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you, Guru Maharaj. In the course of this really very eye-opening lecture, I heard you say that, we have to not develop aversion to our to the people we are attached to or develop a dislike for them, but try to Krishnaize our relationships. Is that what I heard? Would you please explain how not to develop aversion or hatred or something, saying, oh my God, now all these people are there in my life taking me away from Krishna, but to see them as parts and parcels of Krishna and I have to serve them, something like that?
Engage them in devotional service. Yeah, you can't have a relationship on the material platform. You can, but it's not going to bring you closer to Krishna. It takes you farther away. So you have to purify your atmosphere. by engaging people in devotional service. You engage your daughter, you engage your friends, your relatives, somehow or other connect them with Krishna. And then the relationships develop on the spiritual platform.
And then, once established nicely in devotional service, we continue our relationship eternally. That means even in the spiritual world, we continue to have spiritual relationships.
You don't know that question? Come on, you've been preaching for years. What kind of...
I'm a little, maybe a little, getting a little confused actually, because when you say spiritualize your relationships, my idea is see them as parts and parcels of Krishna and try to serve them as best as possible. What they do with that is up to them, because they may not take to devotional service. They may not accept that you're trying to engage them in devotional service.
Well, you try, and if you fail, you go somewhere else where people are more receptive.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah. If somebody wants to bring you down, you want to just, you say, well, because we have a relationship, you can bring me down if you want to. No, it's not. You know, family members are the hardest people to really convert to Krishna consciousness. Because because they see you in a certain way and they have a relationship with you in that way. When you change, when you evolve into spiritual, unless they come along, they're going to continue to have that same relationship with you, or at least see you in the same way. That's why it says a preacher is least appreciated in his hometown. That's in the Shastras.
Krishna Chaitanya. So many revelations. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for bringing me out.
Make the whole world your family, and then you won't have any problems.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, Guru Maharaj.
If you see everyone as your family member, then the relationships will always be there.
Right. And really, who isn't family? Everyone is connected because they're all parts and parcels of Krishna, just as I am. So really, the whole world is my family.
This nuclear family is just just coming together based on mutual exploitation. That's all it is.
Krishna Chaitanya. Well, thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. I'm so happy to be here. So happy.
Now you can extend your relationship with the broader family of Krishna's parts and parcels.
Yes, and it's wonderful.
That's the real family. This material family will fade, but the spiritual family will last.
Right. Thank you. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisance.
Hare Krishna, do we have any last minute questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
There's one in the chat there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Danvat Pranams. I had a question.
Okay.
Maharaj, you were mentioning that the material elements always exist, but only the form changes. So Yeah, I was trying to understand. So when it is, in the pradhana state, is it on manifest or, I mean?
The elements are eternal. They're created by Krishna, but they change their forms. The forms that the elements make up are changing, but you can't destroy. That's why even the scientists say matter can never be created or destroyed. That's a scientific process. You can only change the form it is, but you can't destroy the basic atomic structure of the elements. That's eternal.
So at the time of dissolution, where do these elements go, Maharaj?
Along with the living entities, they also merge back into the pradhan, which is the aggregate of all the material elements, and then they wait. They're there in the dormant stage, and then the next creation comes after so many billions and billions of years, and then Krishna activates those elements again. Brahma appears and then starts to reformulate those elements into the different forms that make up the 8,400,000 species of life. Everything in this material world, including your body, is a combination of those 8 elements. Look around you and see anything you see, it's coming from Krishna, but it's been formulated in a certain way to have a certain, if you take a piece of wood, where does say a table, you have a table. So a table comes from wood, wood comes from tree, the tree comes from earth. Who created the earth? Krishna. So everything is connected to Krishna in its essential form, like that.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that's everything. Including our bodies too.
Hare Krishna, there are more questions in the chat.
Okay, so we're just about to our 1 hour mark. Shamagori still there? Is she still there? No? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, do you have some time? There are a couple questions in the chat.
Yes, we can.
Okay,
we can take.
Would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhuji is not answering. Okay, the question, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I am in the process of cultivating spiritual knowledge, theoretical knowledge, and performing devotional service to the best of my capacity, but I feel that my devotional activities are still superficial. Could you please throw some light on this, Maharaj? Thank you.
Just keep going. That's all. Just keep staying with the process, and then that superficialness will start to dissipate. You're beginning, it becomes theoretical. We do that with material life too. We get involved with something, we can be very superficial about it, or we can be absorbed in it. So same thing, just give it a chance. And develop it, cultivate it, work with it. It will change if you apply. There's 2 things. You have to apply the right mood and the right activity. When you learn the right mood and the right activity, it's no longer superficial. The right mood is I want to please the Lord. I want to become purified in Krishna consciousness. And the right activity is the direction of the spiritual master. So,
Thank you so much, Maharaj. There was one.
okay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I think we can end the call here if there are no more questions. Nina Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Mataji, I'm here. So I believe there are no further questions from anybody, so we can end the call here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Many, many, many pranams at your lotus feet. Thank you so much for your association, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Jai Ho, everyone stay happy by chanting Hare Krishna.
Yes.
And stay healthy by taking care of basic hygiene.
Sai Vivek Prabhu, do you have any last minute question for Maharaj?
Yes, Mataji. Like, Maharaj, do you have time, Maharaj?
Yeah.
A living entity, Jiva, from where does he get this rebellious mentality? Like, why do we come like to spiritual world? Because like we, as a spirit soul, we are like pure and we have qualities as good as Krishna, right? But from where does that rebellious mentality sprout? And how can we?
We are part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna is Swarat, but he's fully Swarat. We are partially Swarat. Swarat means independent. We have our independence. Otherwise, without independence, there's no question of bhakti, because bhakti is voluntarily. So we can misuse our independence and decide not to serve Krishna, and that's why we come to the material world. So the choice is up to us, and we're influenced in our choosing by our association. So if we want to get back to Krishna, we have to take good association or proper association. If we want to stay here, then we continue with our material association, and we will remain in the rebellious mood. Association is the transforming agent of our consciousness.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, everybody. Lalita, Dina Bandhu, I get to see you at the end of every class.
Thank you.
I'm so glad I can get to see you anyway. And
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And I hope everything is well. Yes. Health is good. Good. Okay, Tiffany, thank you. Lalita Tangi. Lalitangi. She ran away from Charlotte, and she's somewhere in the northern hemisphere now.
Yes, Maharaj. I'm just protected by the Association of Devotees here, thanks to the house built by Srila Prabhupada, which is
You
there.
went to a different room. Eh? You're in a different room of the same house, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
It's so wonderful to hear from you.
Thank you so much.
It's always so nice to know that you are still, who you are. You haven't been corrupted by the Toronto atmosphere.
Every day it's a fresh challenge, but Devotees Association saved me, Maharaj. Bhakti Sangha especially, and it's so wonderful when you come and give us so many thoughts to think about. So that way we are thinking what we heard from you and processing. That will take a long time, and that keeps the other thoughts away.
It's an interesting understanding. Keep the mind busy with philosophical problems. Okay. All right. So today is Ekadasi. I hope everyone is chanting 64 rounds. Yes.
I know.
Almost. Ekadasi means more chanting.
I am not fasting for Ekadasi.
So as long as we're chanting, the mind is busy. So there's the answer.
Ekadasi? Ah. Thank you for telling us. Thank you.
Is it Ekadasi tomorrow for you or today?
Today.
Today, yeah. Uh-oh, Lalita doesn't look so happy. What happened? Did you forget? Did you forget it's Ekadasi?
We didn't know it was.
We didn't change the calendar.
But I didn't break it. I only had burpee.
Good. I knew there was some benefit.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I will go on and have another class coming up soon. So thank you very much. We'll see everyone soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Susanna, Hare Krishna.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Kamalaki, Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam
Jai.
Candramauli Swami Maharaj ki jai. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.